So good morning, everybody. Today we are honored to have our honorable His Excellency Ambassador Madam Hou Yanqi with us. Welcome to our press conference. So today, Madam Hou Yanqi will give us a brief on the latest development of the China-Nepal relations and also development of China. Today, everybody here. Today we have more than 20 million friends from media friends here. So now, may I invite Madam Hou Yanqi to give us the briefing. Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. So I think everybody can hear me.
Yes, please.
Yes, we can.
Namaste and good morning. So good morning, dear friends from media. Glad to meet you all online. Such a long time we cannot meet face to face. So I would like to extend my appreciation and thanks to you for the positively reporting the development of China and also our bilateral relationships. So at present, the COVID-19 pandemic drags on. Geopolitical conflicts are resurging and the recovery of the economy remains sluggish and depressed. The peace, security, and development in the world are facing grave challenges. Despite the complex international and regional situation, China-Nepal relationship, led and cared by the two heads of states, has maintained steady growth. The strategic partnership of cooperation featuring everlasting friendship for development and prosperity between us has been deepening and yielding solid results. So today I'd like to use this opportunity to brief you all the newly freshed bilateral relations of our two countries. Because from last online video conference, so maybe about a month ago, so I'd like to brief the latest and the very fresh bilateral relations between our two countries. So State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang visited Nepal from March 25th to 27th. He had in-depth discussions and communications with Nepali leaders on implementing outcomes of President Xi Jinping's visit and promoting China-Nepal cooperation of various views. This was the highest bilateral visits between China and Nepal since the outbreak of the COVID-19. State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang called on Right Honorable President Bhandari, Right Honorable Prime Minister Deuba, and have a very friendly and in-depth meeting with Right Honorable Foreign Minister Dr. Khadka. During the meetings, State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang clearly pointed out that China supports Nepal in blazing a development path suited to its national conditions. China supports Nepal in pursuing independent domestic and foreign policies. China supports Nepal in participating in BRI to a greater extent. Actually, these three supports has sent a very strong and positive signal, which is China's friendly policy towards Nepal is for all Nepali people and political parties. The policy has maintained continuity and stability and will never change, no matter how the political situation of Nepal changes. During the visit, the two sides signed 9 cooperation documents, including development assistance, infrastructure connectivity, energy and medical and health cooperation, which injected fresh impetus to the implementation of the outcomes of President Xi Jinping's visit and bilateral cooperation in various fields. In recent years, The connotation and extension of China-Nepal's BRI cooperation have been continuously deepened and expanded. A multi-dimensional promotion pattern featuring hard connection, soft communication, and hard exchange, and the all-round participation of the government, market, and society is taking shape. The Trans-Himalayan Multidimensional Connectivity Network has gradually moved from a blueprint to a reality. Since last year, the two sides have worked hard to overcome the huge difficulties caused by the pandemic and promoted the construction of BRI cooperation in various fields to achieve new progress. I'd like to brief the different aspects. The first, anti-pandemic and health cooperation has various highlights. Until now, China has provided around 20 million vaccines through grant assistance, commercial purchase, and other channels, making China the biggest supplier of COVID-19 vaccine to Nepal. Those vaccines have helped Nepal to fight against the pandemic and restored Nepali people's life and work back to normal. A few days ago, a batch of medical materials granted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China, including 5.7 million syringes and 9 X-rays, have been handed over to Nepali side through Kirung-Raswagadi border point. China will continue to provide vaccines and material support according to the demand of the Nepali side so as to help Nepal completely defeat the pandemic. Besides, with the aid from China, the second phase project of civil service hospital has been completed, and the two sides have renewed the protocol on sending a China medical team to work in Nepal. Those cooperations are important parts of jointly building a community of health between China and Nepal. Second, economic and trade cooperation scored steady progress. According to the Chinese side's statistics, the total volume of trade between China and Nepal increased 67% and reached $1.977 billion in 2021, of which Nepal's export to China increased 63%. Those data proved that the so-called soft bloc on Nepal is totally baseless. We noticed that now Nepal's economy has encountered some difficulties, mainly as a result of the slow recovery of global economy and the shock of the pandemic. Many other countries are facing the same problems, as China is also facing our own problems. During the visit of State Councilor and Foreign Minister of Wang, the two sides signed the protocol on the safety and health conditions for export of haylage from Nepal to China and the exchange of letters on duty-free treatment to be provided by China to goods of Nepali origin, covering 98 tariff lines. Those are the efforts made by the Chinese side to increase Nepal's export to China and will help relieve Nepal's trade imbalance problem. We also welcome Nepal to attend China International Import-Expo annually and actively promote the products to meet the demands of the Chinese market. Third, the border-related cooperation has been conducted friendly and smooth manner. The Chinese side has made continuous effort to improve the capacity of one-way cargo transportation at the Kirung and the Jammu border ports and tried our best to ensure the supply of materials for production, living, anti-pandemic, elections-related, and other materials to Nepal while fighting the pandemic on an ongoing basis. Xizang Autonomous Region has also actively provided material assistance to the neighboring people live in mountainous areas of North Nepal, such as Hon'ble district, especially in the winter season and also during the flood or some disaster period that the Xizang will donate to the neighboring peoples that living in the Nepali side. So the competent authorities of both sides have been in communication for many times. We hope the Nepali side could also improve the efficiency of loading and unloading and further improve the conditions of customs clearance in the side of Nepal. So the Chinese side attaches great importance to the desire of Nepali side to resume export to China through land ports. The relevant authorities, neighboring provinces, and border port authorities of the two sides are keeping communications currently and conditioned in this regard. So the two sides are also coordinating to hold consultation on border affairs at appropriate time through diplomatic channel, systematically summarizing and planning border-related affairs and cooperation between our two countries. Fourth, the project cooperation achieved fruitful results. The China Aid Kathmandu Deuba High School, Civil Service Hospital, and Public School Recovery Project in Dolakha have been completed or finished their midterm inspection and acceptance. A batch of projects that aim to improve people's livelihood, such as Public School Recovery Project and Hospital Recovery Project in Sindhubarchok, are about to start construction. The third phase of the Anigo Highway Maintenance Project has been completed successfully, witnessed by Right Honorable Prime Minister Deuba. Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang attended the virtual completion ceremony of the Pokhara International Airport project's major instruction and installation works together with the Right Honorable Foreign Minister Dr. Khadka. When the economy and society return to normal in Nepal, I believe that the cooperation between China and Nepal will speed up and improve efficiency. I also hope that the Nepali side could provide a fair and transparent business environment, fully protect the legitimate rights and interests of the Chinese enterprises, and help to solve their practical problems. The fifth, the connectivity cooperation enjoys broad prospects. The China-Nepal cross-border railway project carries the good expectations of the two peoples. The two sides have signed the technical assistance plan for the feasibility study project of the China-Nepal cross-border railway project, marking another solid step in advancing the project. As Nepal's electricity production gradually turns to surplus, China is willing to work together with Nepal to complement each side's advantages, actively promote the power grid interconnectivity, and build a new channel for Nepal's power export. It must be pointed out that these projects will come across many difficulties, such as complex geological conditions, frequent natural disasters, and high construction cost. This requires both sides to formulate practical plans on technical standards, funding funding sources, and so on in the spirit of seeking truth from facts. 6. The people-to-people exchanges were rich and colorful. The pandemic has not cut off the friendship between our two peoples. People from all walks of life in Nepal have actively participated in the painting competition, video clips collection, and online knowledge context of the Beijing Winter Olympics held by the Chinese Embassy in Nepal. I was deeply moved by the participants' sincere love for China and the friendship between the two countries. The Chinese Embassy in Nepal actively helped the Nepali primary and secondary schools to improve their cooperation conditions, implemented projects such as Rural Education Support Program in Pokhara and Panda Book Corner Program. Those were warmly welcomed by the teachers and students. The Chinese side will continue to pass the friendship between the two countries by providing government scholarships, educational equipment, and extra. So mentioning the scholarships, so I understand that all you are concerned about the resumption of direct flights air link between China and Nepal and the return of Nepali students to China. It is a common problem internationally for students to go back to school in face of the pandemic. Previously, I have to say that in order to prevent and control the pandemic, the Nepali side unilaterally announced the suspension of international flights with most countries, including China, with no pre-notice, which has led to the suspension of direct flights between China and Nepal till now. The personnel exchange between the two countries, including international students, have since become more difficult. So the Chinese side has always cared about the study and life of these Nepali students. Chinese universities have maintained close contact with every student and kept providing online education and even psychological consultation. The ministries of foreign affairs of the two countries are in closely coordinating for the orderly return of the Nepali students to China and the gradual resumption of direct flights air link. I'm also looking forward to early positive progress as all of you are. So dear friends from media, I believe that through my above simple and briefing, you have learned that the BRI cooperation between China and Nepal has not got bogged down because of COVID-19. On the contrary, it has become a road of hope and bolsters resilience and boosts confidence. I would like to point out that the BRI has never been a geopolitical strategy, but a road of development that helps countries along the road, especially developing countries, to achieve the goal of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and promote common development and prosperity. China and Nepal are good neighbors, good friends, and good partners. The cooperation between the two countries in various fields enjoys long history, solid foundation, outstanding advantages, and broad prospects. The projects under BRI serve to promote mutually beneficial cooperation between the two countries and improve people's livelihood and well-being. When selecting and implementing specific projects, both governments and enterprises are required to follow the principles of openness, transparency, and friendly consultation with each other. In recent years, we have also paid more attention to the high quality, green, and sustainable joint construction of BRI. I believe that over the time, the Trans-Himalayan multidimensional connectivity network will keep on achieving new results and developing steadily and far. So, dear friends, I'd like to brief you all the recent news that in China, that 21st of April today, just maybe 2 hours ago, the Chinese President Xi Jinping just delivered a keynote speech via video at the opening ceremony of the Boao Forum for Asia Annual Conference 2022. Actually, the Right Honorable President Madam Bhandari also delivered a speech at the opening ceremony via video. So we appreciate very much. So I'd like to share some speech from the President Xi Jinping just 2 hours ago. So he said, the COVID-19 pandemic has seriously eroded the gains the world has made in poverty reduction over the past decades. Uneven recovery is aggregating inequality across the world, further widening the North-South divide. To address these challenges, actually the President Xi Jinping stressed 3 needs. The 3 needs is to need to work together to defend people's lives and health, as safety and health are the prerequisites for human development and progress. The first need is the need to promote economic recovery by paying due attention to the pressing needs of developing countries and advancing practical cooperation in key areas such as poverty reduction, food security, development financing, and industrialization. The second need is the need to safeguard world peace and security with the proposal of a global security initiative to promote security for all in the world. The third need is to need to meet the challenge posed in global governance collectively, especially for major countries, to lead by example in honoring equality, cooperation, good faith, and the rule of law, and act in a way benefiting their status. He called on all countries to follow the trend of the times featuring peace, development, and win-win cooperation, move in the direction of building a community with a shared future for mankind, and rise to challenges to build a bright future through cooperation. And he also said countries, no matter their size and strength, and both in and outside the region, that means the Asian region, should all add splendor rather than trouble to Asia, and all should follow the path of peace and development, seek win-win cooperation, and contribute to an Asian family of unity and progress together. He called for the peace, cooperation, and unity for Asia, and making Asia an anchor for world peace, a powerhouse for global growth, and a new pace setter for international cooperation. He also said the fundamental of the Chinese economy is strong resilience, enormous potential, vast room for maneuver, and long-term sustainability remain unchanged. The Chinese economy will provide great dynamism for the stability and recovery of the world economy and broader market opportunities for all countries. No matter how the world will change, China's faith in and its commitment to reform and opening up will not waver. China will unswervingly follow the path of peaceful development and always be a builder of world peace, a contributor to global development, and a defender of the international order. So this is the fresh speech from the President Xi Jinping just delivered at the Boao Forum opening ceremony. And regarding the economy of China, dear friends, so I would like to take this opportunity to brief you all that the latest status of the China's economic situation. Actually, China's national economy has continued to recover in 2021, and the development has reached a new stage. The GDP of China has increased 8.1% to 114 trillion yuan, and China maintained its position as the second largest economy in the world. People's living standards have steadily improved. The actual per capita disposable income of residents has increased 8.1%. The achievements in poverty alleviation have been consolidated and expanded. In the first quarter of this year, China's economy overcame multiple challenges, including the change in the international situation and the domestic epidemic. Its GDP topping expectation and rising by 4.8% year-on-year. At the beginning of this year, we also presented a simple, safe, and wonderful Beijing Winter Olympic and Winter Paralympics to the world, which was also appreciated by the international community. I would like to stress that China has always been the main stabilizer and the power source of world economic growth. Its average annual contribution rate to the world economic growth has exceeded 30%. Any denigration, suppression, and containment on China's development is doomed to fail. China's development is historically inevitable and unstoppable. As the China enters a new stage of development, we are actively implementing the new development philosophy and build a new development dynamic. This will provide more development opportunities for countries around the world, including Nepal. China's development is also a contribution to the progress of all mankind. This is a common consensus of the international community and supported and appreciated by the vast majority of the countries. Social media is an important link and bridge for the Chinese embassy in Nepal to communicate with Nepali people, especially the youth. I opened my Twitter account in 2019 to share my work and life in Nepal and receive the enthusiastic support of tens of thousands of fans. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks. In 2020, the Chinese embassy in Nepal opened a Facebook page to introduce the latest progress in bilateral relations and the practical cooperation between China and Nepal, as well as China's domestic development achievement. At the beginning of this year, the spokesperson of the Chinese embassy in Nepal also opened a Twitter account with the account name spokesperson of Chinese embassy in Nepal. Through this platform, we will timely release important positions of the embassy and important information on bilateral cooperation, and I welcome all of you to follow it. Both the embassy and myself will continue to use social media platform to interact with media friends and netizens, enhance mutual understanding and trust, and promote cultural mutual learning and people-to-people bonds. So finally, on behalf of the Chinese embassy, all my colleagues in Nepal, I would like to wish all media friends good health, success in work and family happiness. May Nepal prosperous and Nepali people happy and healthy. So thank you all. This is my briefings this morning. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Ambassador.
So this is our spokesperson, Mr. Wang Xiaolong.
Thanks for the Ambassador to introduce my Twitter account to the media friends. Now the questions from media friends are welcome. So anyone who would like to have some questions and comments, please raise his or her hand.
So I hope I have already covered the questions of our media friends. So please.
Take the opportunities. Okay, this one. Mr. Andy from Nepal.
Good morning, Madam Excellency.
Morning.
So this is Jagdishwar Pandey from Kantipur newspaper. So my query is that there has been a long, I use the word derail or something like that in our port in Tatopani and as well as in Raswagadi. And there was a visit from State Councilor and the Foreign Minister, and they have also talked between them. So how the Nepalese people are suffering from those port not working before as the earthquake. So is there any that mechanism the both country has taken to operate like before or some? Can you tell briefly about this?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your questions. So, dear gentlemen, actually just now I have already briefed you that during the State Councilor and the Foreign Minister Wang's visit to your great country, the two sides discussed this matter, and we attach great importance to the concerns of Nepali side. As a follow-up, now the concerned authorities from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from the local government, and from the border points, and also from the customs authorities, they have the direct link and communicated China to discuss the matter that how can we improve the capacity of the one-way transportation every day, and also how can we resume the two-way port transportation. Now it is still going on. And for the mechanism, actually now we have already proposed a bilateral, I think in the joint secretary, that means DG levels mechanism consultation. The consultation will not only cover the, the consultation, all the topics will related to the border affairs. The border affairs, including the border management, definitely including the cooperation through the border points. So now the two ministries of foreign affairs is discussing the convenient time for both sides to have this kind of dialogue. And also, I think the mechanism will invite the different parts of the competent authorities to have the further discuss. So actually, the Xizang Autonomous Region had done their best to provide the necessities to Nepal during the pandemic. And the Xizang Autonomous Region is a very special area and province in China because of the high altitude, the less of the oxygen, and comparatively poor health conditions. So that is why this area, so they abide by comparatively strong and strict anti-pandemic protocol, and so that is why. So now it is very hard for them to have back to the normal. That means resume to the two-way transportation currently. But I do believe I think the situation of the pandemic globally now is decreasing, and we are looking forward. So it will be back to the normal as soon as possible. And also the mechanism dialogue, I don't believe it will be very late. So we do hope that within the months, the two sides will have their dialogue and consultations for the border affairs, that including how to improve the capacity of the two-way transportation. So that's my question. So I hope I can answer this question very clear. Thank you.
Okay, next one, Mr. Kailana from Republica.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, Excellency. It was very comprehensive presentation. I think most of the questions that we had as journalists were responded. But then again, I felt like I just want some elaboration on some of the points that you mentioned. I think the issue of border point, Tatopani, and this Raswagadi Naka, this Raswagadi point not coming, to full operation, that was already raised, and also you have ensured those questions. So another one is like you briefly touched on this issue during your presentation, your briefing. So like, what are the efforts being made by both Nepal and China to send back Nepalese students who were studying in China, but they came back to Nepal and then they're not able to go back, and their study has been hampered, and they're like, time and again they visit us, and they also raise the issue, and also they ask us our support. So that's my one question. Another one is like, you also mentioned about this, China is ready to facilitate this, cross-country power trade, the electricity trade. And also we look forward working together to develop this power grid connectivity. So, what kind of agreement have we already reached on this front? Because we'll be having surplus electricity, and Nepal, we're looking for opportunity to export our electricity, both India and China.
Oh.
So this is my second. And third one, I'm sorry, like just, taking opportunity. And you also mentioned about this, China hopes to see Nepal addressing legitimate concern of Chinese entrepreneurs in Nepal. So is there any problem that Chinese entrepreneurs are facing in Nepal? If you could please just elaborate a little bit on this, I'd be grateful. And thank you so much. I just have these questions to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. The first of all is the return of the students of Nepal that by the scholarship in China. So just now I have already briefed. Now actually the two foreign ministries from our two countries now is discussing to step by step, gradually to have the students return to China. Now, because we didn't have the air link, first of all, how to transport all the students to their destination, we are discussing. The second is because of the gradually return to the schools. So maybe the first of all 200 or 300, first of all, they were back to the to China. So now we are discussing on that. And also actually, though the students are in Nepal, actually all the students have their normal education online. Each of the university have direct link to all the students. Actually, I can share with you, even my son in China, he is the student in China. He always have the online education, even in China. And also some of the international students that now in China, they also have the online education. So this is very special difficulties for all the students that under the current circumstances because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm looking forward that the first batch of the students come back to the universities as soon as possible. Now we are discussing on that. The second is 还是那个口岸。The second is the energy surplus and the, if possible, for the grid connectivity between our two countries. Actually, Nepal is the country that rich of the water resources. The Chinese enterprises and investors is the biggest foreign investors in Nepal's hydropower stations. So we know that there will be more surplus of the energy, especially from the hydropower stations. So in this great country, actually, I have discussions with the relevant authorities of your energy ministry. Maybe there are some kind of channels to use the the fruitful energies for Nepal. I have some proposals. The first is export to the neighboring countries. So directly, the immediate neighbor, Nepal have two. One is north, one is south. So we welcome any kind of cooperation that for the export of the surplus of the power of the energy that will be benefit to Nepal. The second, I do believe that the local industrialization is also very important. That means Nepal should use more energy and use more power locally in your great country. That means the industrialization will be important because the industry and the factory of the production will use more energy and will use more power. And also in the area of modern agriculture. Modern agriculture will also use many of the powers. So I do believe this will also help the independence of Nepal's economy and will also provide more and more opportunities and employments to the youth of Nepal. So I don't think so that the only export to the neighboring countries is the only way to use the surplus of the powers. Definitely, China and Nepal are neighbors. Now, the two authorities of the energy, they have the direct mechanism for consultations that how to develop the very reasonable development of the energy in Nepal. And also they are discussing how to transport and export these surplus of the powers to Nepal along the border areas. So because of, this is the same as the transborder railway, because of the very hard and the difficulties of the geographic situation along the Himalayan areas. So maybe it is more costly, and we need the scientific feasibility studies. But I do think, and also now we are discussing the cross-border economic zone between China and Nepal. So if there are some small factories and of the productions in the border areas along our two countries, maybe more and more powers will be needed. That is also another channel for our cooperation to use the power from Nepal. So that is my questions to my dear friends. And the third one is the Chinese enterprises difficulties in your great country. I think first of all is we need the policies continuity. This is a country of many times. So we are facing the government change. This is quite normal in I mean, in a democratic country, we respect and also this is the internal affairs of your great country. But we do hope that whenever how the government change, the policy of the investment for the foreigners will never be changed, especially the major projects. Because all the major projects maybe will last a long time. Some of the major projects, like the hydropower stations, many of the Chinese enterprises have cooperation even 7 or 8 years. But after the government change, there was a big change in the policy, even the funding mechanism. So these investors are very difficult because the policy always be changed. That is one. The other is the funding difficulties. Some of the funding are from the government of Nepal. Some of the funding are from the Asian Bank or IMF or some other financing organizations. And maybe the delayed and postponed of the payment to the enterprise is also another difficulties. So they have already started their projects, but the funding cannot provide to them that by the contract. So the shortage of the funding is also the other problems. And the third is, you know that the investors from China the privilege is the infrastructure construction, as the road constructions and also the airports, the hydropower stations. That means we need the land, we need the power, we need the basic support of the local government. Even sometimes we have to move some trees along the road, but it's quite difficult for the enterprises to move a power pole, a single tree, or broad the base road of the construction. So, and also the house demolition is also very difficult. But these by the contract, these are the responsibility of the Nepali side. So that is why maybe everybody is concerned about the ring road second phase. So now we are waiting for the demolition from Nepali side. Now I think there only a small part of that. So after the completion of the work from Nepali side, the Chinese company can start their work along the road. So these are the main difficulties in this country. But anyhow, we are still the biggest foreign investors in Nepal. There are more than 110 companies work in Nepal that they are very positive and actively work here. And like the fertilizer factory and other, I think from Huawei and ZTE in the area, in the aspects of this country. And also they provide more and more employment to the local people, like the Bokra International Airport. There are about 200 Chinese engineers, but more than 2,000 local employees and laborers from Nepal. So I do believe that the major projects can provide more and more opportunities, not only the economic growth of Nepal, but also the working opportunities to the local people. So that is why I'm also looking forward for the support and the positive report from the media friends. That is a kind of great encouragement to the people from the Chinese enterprises that who are working here despite the difficulties of the pandemic and some other difficulties. Definitely during the pandemic, the main difficulty is that the shortage of the materials of the productions, because the transportations and import of the materials are also slow than before, whenever it is from the land port or whenever it's from the seaport of the southern neighbors. That is other the other difficulty. But now it is better and better. And also even some of our engineers that working in the projects are unfortunately confirmed to be positive COVID-19, but now they have already been recovered. So that is also some a little bit delay in the project. So I hope that the media friends can understand the current situation that not only faced by the Chinese enterprise, but it is really a global difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you so much for this.
Okay, next question from Mr. Kapla from Naya Pakia. Thank you.
Namaste, Your Excellency.
Namaste.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive briefing. But I have just a query about BRI. BRI is a very slow progress since 5 years, and Nepal had proposed 9 projects to implement, but till now Nepal government is waiting the approval from Chinese side. So what progress is going on Nepal proposed 9 projects? And about railway project, you mentioned that very complex geological condition, frequent disasters, and that funding sources. These are the challenges of the railway project. So do you do you see any possibility of cross-border railway project can be, I mean, is this possible within couple of years, within 10 years, 15 years? Because China itself has not started, building railway link from Sigatse to Kerung. So how can we expect that the railway project is possible and it will be constructed? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Actually, I think the BRI is a long-term development cooperation between China and the countries along the BRI road. It is really a long-term one. Will never stop. So now we have already started the connectivity constructions between our 2 countries. Just I have already briefed some of the projects. Actually, BRI means all the cooperations between our 2 countries, the road links, and also the international airports constructions, and also the air links, and also the grid links between our 2 countries. I mean, actually, there are so many projects now is going on. That not means the new projects. Actually, some of the new projects will cost 10 or 8 years. It is in the different phase under the Belt and Road Initiative. So we have a saying that we cannot build Rome within 1 day. So I do believe that all the major projects I just briefed to the friends belong to the BRI and under the financing support of the BRI. Secondly, BRI is not a grant assistance. It is a kind of cooperation and cooperative modality. So that including the government grant assistance. and also including the commercial cooperation between the businessmen and the two enterprises. So, and all the projects, how can we choose the project under the BRI? Just now, I've also introduced that will be abide by the two sides and also based on the feasibility studies. So I have to say that the different projects now is under the different phase or under the frame of BRI. Like the airport projects, now the Chinese company is constructing about more, all the international airports of Nepal are under the construction of Chinese enterprises. All the constructions belong to the framework of BRI. The first of all is the international airport of Bhuta in Barawa along the Lumbini. Now the Chinese company have already handed over to Nepalese side. That is financed by the Asian Bank or some other bank internationally. And the Chinese company is the constructor of this airport internationally. So this is also a kind of cooperative modality between our two countries under the BRI. And for the Bokra International Airport, that the financial support is from the Chinese commercial grant assistance and also the soft loan of China. So the constructor is also from Chinese enterprises. That is the second modality of the cooperation. And also for the international airport of the Kathmandu, the Tribhuvan International Airport. Now for the improvement of this airport is also under the construction of the Chinese company. To my knowledge, this is the financing support from the government of Nepal. So that is the third modality of our cooperation. And also, I think the railway link, it is really have to based on the scientific feasibility study. I'm not the professional, I'm just a diplomat. I cannot exactly speak that when and how the direct railway link can be completed. But just as you have already mentioned, now we have already started our part within the Xizang Autonomous Region from Jikaza to Kirung. So by the way, the trans railway part belong to China and Nepal. Now we are in the phase of feasibility study. Some of the experts told me that if it is very smooth of the cooperation between our two countries, the feasibility study of the trans-border parts maybe cost 5 or 6 years. That means if everything is very smooth. So when our part go to the Kirung port in Chinese border, I do think that by the way, the feasibility study of our transport also move on very smoothly. So I do believe that someday the two parts will link each other. Definitely still for these kind of major projects, for such kind of, even I can say that is a world kind of difficult projects, it's really need the policy stability of Nepalese side. And also we have to seek financing support for these kind of huge projects. And also some difficulties to be overcome. That means the difficulties are the scientific and the geographic of the Himalayan regions. And also, I do believe that the environment protection in this region is also very important because it is the one of the fragile and should be protected of this area. So by the way of the cooperation of the Himalayan and trans-border railway construction, I do believe the sustainable and the green development and environment protection in this area is also very important. So all these needs time to further discussions. But anyhow, with the determination of Chinese government, and I think with the developing of our technical and science standards, and I do believe that the direct road link by rail is not a dream. It will be a reality. I do believe. 还有没有？是什么？我已经回答了啊。So the last question. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Tiwari from North Nepal.
Good morning. Namaste and Nin Hao, Your Excellency. Thank you for your briefing on various issues of relationship between Nepal and China. Now, my question is related to the visit of President Xi Jinping to Nepal in 2019. Then it was announced that a sum of 3 billion RMB will be provided to Nepal as a grant assistance. But now you see in Nepali media the reports that because of various reasons, Nepal could not, or Nepal has not been able to utilize the grant assistance announced like 3 years back. So what's your take on it, and how do you see this, and how could Nepal ensure the implementation, the utilization of the grant announced 3 years back? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So actually, Nepal is our great neighbor, trusted friend, and a developing partner of China. So because of the, we are both belong to the developing countries. So every year, though China is also a developing countries, under the South cooperation frame. So every year we will provide actually the grant assistance to Nepal. So during the visit of President Xi Jinping in 2019, he declared and announced a package of 3 years grant assistance to Nepal. Actually, before President Xi Jinping's visit to Nepal, even there was no visit, every year we will provide the grant assistance to Nepal. Some of the documents are signed, actually was signed even by the ambassadors or some other dignitaries between our two countries to provide to Nepal. I can brief you that how can we use this kind of grant assistance. The modality is when we signed the economic and technical cooperation MOU, that we will announce the annual grant assistance to Nepal amount. And then Nepali government can propose how to use this grant assistance. You can propose any kind of a project if you need. And then with the proposal and the feasibility study together to the government of China, then the government of China will committed some competent authorities to have further study how the feasibility study is of the proposed programs and the project is. When we do have the joint feasibility study of the projects, then we will send some expert team to Nepal to have further ground inspections and face-to-face dialogue and consultations to the Nepali counterparts. And at last point, now they confirm this project or that project can be start. So like the first phase of the ring road is belong to the grant assistance. And also some of the reconstructions of the earth disasters belong to the assistance. So that means the Nepali government should propose which projects will be the priority to use this kind of grant assistance. So I can share with you not only the announcement of the President Xi Jinping's the 3 years package. Actually, even before this package, there are some of the loans and not loans. There are some of the grant assistance are not used by the government of Nepal. We have more than that, actually. Now, after we announce the grant assistance, it will belong to Nepal. But how to use that, Nepal government should have the proposals. So that is, now we are waiting for the proposals for each of the programs and projects from Nepal. So this is the modality of our cooperation under the framework of grant assistance. And you know that during the pandemic, we are the big suppliers of COVID-19, that all the materials of medical use and COVID are also under the grant assistance of Chinese government and financial support. Some of our colleagues, not from the media, but also from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Public Health from your countries, always ask me, oh, Ambassador, so all the vaccines belong to the grant assistance that you have already announced. That means they are worried a little about whether the assistance of the vaccines belong to the assistance. I can definitely and very clearly speak, all the vaccines and the materials of medical use are surplus. That these are the surplus grant assistance from our financial support of the Chinese government. That means what we have already announced of the package annually to Nepal, that will belong to Nepal. So what is the procedure is, so please let the government to propose the priority of the projects, that what and how and when we can use that package. We will respect the needs of the government of Nepal. Definitely it will be based on the scientific feasibility studies. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you, Madam Ambassador, and thank you from media, friends from all the medias. Thank you, thank you for your questions. So let's conclude our press conference and wish you everybody have a good day. Thank you.
So thank you, dear friends. So I hope someday and very soon, so I will meet you all, not online. I hope we can meet each other more frequently. And also the every channel of the Chinese embassy is working 24 hours. So if any query, if any questions, or if any doubts, so please let us know. And also we appreciate very much for your contributions to your hard work, and definitely for the contributions for your promotion of our bilateral relations and for the people's mutually understanding. So thank you very much and all the best. Dhanyavad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.